Hi, hello and welcome to the Sports Exchange. My name is Carole Beckford. Over the last couple of episodes, of course, we have talked about everything in sport. We've talked about events, venues, film, production, everything. But today we're going to zone in on sports and film. And we have an exciting guest. She's done everything in sport. She's a broadcaster, teacher, playwright, social commentator, social marketer. What else are you? Her name is Dahlia Harris, by the way. Internationally acclaimed Dahlia Harris. She's also an actress, or is it actor?
I go by either one.
Okay. Welcome to the program, Dahlia.
I am very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, sports and films. You would have watched all the fabulous films, the history, the documentaries on people like Muhammad Ali and George Fraser and all of those people. Jamaica. Zoning on Jamaica and the Caribbean. You have done at least 2 major works on sports. Give us a little bit about them.
Well, one of them is To the Finish, which was a play I did about drugs in sport. And I felt it was important to do that because whenever we hear about athletes testing positive, we quickly jump to, oh, it's because they want to win or they want a medal. But I feel like an athlete's life, we see a minute of it on the track. We don't understand all the struggles that an athlete goes through and everything that is dependent on an athlete. And so I wanted to put a human interest side to it, and that was To the Finish, which really was a story about an athlete. All she wanted to do is run. But running for her meant providing for family. It meant supporting community. So getting to that finish line, it meant making the coach a successful coach.
Absolutely.
So getting to the finish line was more than just passion. And when that passion became overridden by all of the other elements, then she had some tough decisions to make. And then the other thing I did was Across the Line, which was about the Rebel Tour of South Africa by members of the
young ones
team.
don't remember.
I know, because when I did it, a lot of the young ones, especially the young ones that I used in the play, said to me, can you make this up, miss? Or this really happened? And then they went online and Googled and realized that this really happened for true. But I took it from the perspective of not the team, but how the tour impacted who they left behind, the fans, the players, and so on. So those were the 2 projects that I did.
I'll start with the cricket. Walk me through the process, especially with that Rebel Tour. Lawrence Rowe is still having issues with being forgiven about, and I mean, this is my personal view, he belongs on the wall of fame. All his runs for West Indies were made before he decided to go to South Africa, and that in its context. And maybe that's part 2 for you, Dahlia, because his name was even removed from a stand at Savannah Park.
And that's what inspired the play. When his name went up and then there was this big uproar and then it was taken down. And then he said something in terms of how he felt his impact of going on the tour positively impacted people in South Africa. And then I watched a documentary and I said, sometimes we have to see 2 sides of a story to get different perspectives. And so one of the characters in the show is Lawrence's age when he toured. He's playing cricket at the club and he is struggling to find a place, which I think Lawrence was at that time. Hay fever, so couldn't play in the UK, so couldn't be making the money that other players were making. Had vision issues, never want to wear him glasses, which is another thing. But Lawrence really was looking at not even being selected for a West Indies team. And when playing is all you know, again, it comes back to what does passion drive in terms of the decision you make. So passion drives the decision, but what is the fallout from that decision? And so those were some of the things I explored.
And Lawrence would have been probably the most prolific batsman for the West Indies after Gary Sobers, for example.
Correct.
So in terms of a transition period. But let's talk about the development of that story. What goes into making a film for sports?
Research.
Yes.
Because one of the things that I could not leave out of the story was Lawrence's performance, I think in Barbados when he broke that record. And then the whole Caribbean went to bed knowing that when we woke up in the morning, Lawrence was going to break this record. And so when they turned up at the stadium. People were climbing over the walls because everybody wanted to witness history. And it's being told through the lens of a young man who says as a child, when cricket was on, it was radio. And him father is the only day him father allowed him not to go to school, because they were all gathered listening to Lawrence, and he's doing the commentary of Lawrence running up, making history. And it's such an impactful moment because it underscores the heart of what cricket has been to us as Caribbean people.
Right.
And so it's the research, getting the data correct in terms of historically what happened, but also capturing the deep meaning of sport to us as regional people.
In the track and field now, I mean, I see a lot of stuff online about track and field, you know, why they're not running more and all that stuff to the finish. But the sport is being impacted by drugs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's because so much more competition is happening off the track than on the track.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're an athlete now, you're competing for brand ambassadorship, you're competing for endorsements, you're competing for so many other things. And with all of that comes a kind of responsibility. You know, the athlete is paying the medical bills. When winning is the difference between whether your auntie is going to get chemotherapy or not, then winning a medal is not even the most important thing. And I actually had a discussion with an athlete that had tested positive, and I said, walk me through, what's the mindset? And when he went through all of the explanation, it was very revealing for me. And I said it was important, not just for the athlete, but for the support system. Because when I spoke to some coaches, not necessarily just in track and field, they would say, we see the parents, them hand the kids the energy drinks and the other things, and we're saying to them, don't give this to them. But the parent who wants the child to do well, or the friend, is going to want to give them something to enhance the performance. Right. And so it was about raising awareness and educating everybody that you have to be the support system. You have to be the support system.
And you touched on a good point. What is the role of film, or, you know, or any kind of piece of that kind? What kind of role does it play? We spoke about impact on people's lives. Give me some other things that you think, especially your two, on track and field and cricket, would have played in your community.
So for me, film, so it will depend, because as you said, there are a lot of documentary films. I mean, right now there's a film about Hans Cronje's story. There's a film about Pele. And everybody, I mean, I saw somebody say, I'm watching Pele and I'm crying. Why am I crying? Because now we've seen Pele on the pitch, but to learn and to humanize him. Ali, you know, we know how powerful Ali is. And then you have films like Creed, 1, 2, 3, that may not be about a real life figure, but it captures the essence of what sport is about. For Jamaica to be such a sporting giant and not have a collection or a body of work about sport in film is mind-blowing to me. It is mind-blowing to me that we do not have our athletes. Well, there's a documentary on saying, but we don't have our athletes archived somewhere that people can go and say, oh my gosh, this is what Marlene Ottey accomplished. Don Quarry, as you know, is one of the most successful athletes in the world. Don Quarry deserves a biopic, and I've said that to him. So it's the archiving, but it's also those films that capture the essence of who we are.
So, as a people.
Yeah, so Cool Runnings, for example, is about the bobsleigh team. Of course, they took a little, you know, I think authorial kind of change up a few things, not necessarily. So it's fiction and fact coming together.
Right.
But Cool Runnings was such an inspirational show that every Black History Month.
Oh yeah, it runs on TV endlessly.
Every Black History Month. And if you travel to some parts of the world and you say Cool Runnings, they automatically know that it's about the bobsleigh team. Is the bobsleigh team the most successful team that's ever come out of Jamaica?
No.
but the bobsleigh team is one of the most popular teams because they've captured the story of hope, story of determination,
a little adversity.
Little adversity, and just what you can overcome. The Reggae Boys should have had a film.
It's not too late though.
Still, because even the individual stories coming out of the Reggae Boys, I believe for Warren Barrett, for example, to be a bartender and captain a World Cup team that nobody thought would make it to the World Cup is an extraordinary journey.
And now has his son as one of the top throwers in Jamaica, having gone through high school.
Correct.
And has gone to the Carifta Games and so
Correct.
on. So it's almost like a family sports story.
Absolutely. So we have the stories of heart. We have the stories of great determination. And those, I believe, are things that drive national pride, that drive a culture of values and attitudes. Because when you can observe a film with our athletes being resilient, going up against the odds, and being able to succeed, it says to you as a Jamaican, this is within my grasp to be great.
All right, so there are documentaries which you can narrate, and some of the people are still alive, their families and so on. So that's one format. For the Cool Runnings type, where you put fiction and fact,
yes.
Right? Yeah. Give me some examples of things you think we can explore from that standpoint.
The Sunshine Girls. The Sunshine Girls. Our Sunshine Girls are consistently ranked among the best in the world. And when you look at the diversity of background of the Sunshine Girls and the diverse characters, Carole, you've engaged them. Some of them is some real comedians. Some of them, their mothers, their daughters. There are so many different personality types that you could take from the Sunshine Girls team, and just what they keep doing over and over again, that easily the Sunshine Girls.
All right, any other, like June 14 is actually, Grace Jackson is already 62. I can't believe it. I know I shouldn't be saying this.
Yeah.
But her business is out there anyway.
Yeah.
And Grace would have won that, let me take that back. Grace placed second in the 1988
Well,
Summer Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea. Those who know what I'm
Yes,
talking
yes,
about.
yes.
And that 21:72
yes.
could have been
Yeah,
the winning time.
Yeah, amazing. And when we look at just that group of female athletes, Ati, Grace, Cuthbert,
who is now a minister of government.
Correct. And when you listen to, and every time I see her, I say, Juliet, if you don't put out that book,
I listen.
Because Juliet Cuthbert...
Mrs. Flynn, we're warning you again.
Because Juliet Cuthbert is someone who found herself in a position where the coach them say, Juliet. And she said, well, I'm going to coach myself.
Yes.
I'm going to coach myself. Coached herself to success on the track. Now, that don't happen anywhere in the world.
No.
And that's a story that's not just... So my thing is, the most successful films, Avatar, you name them, is films that have a universal appeal.
Right.
And a story like that is something that every human being, you've all been put to a place where just you and the Lord, and how am I going to make it out, and pushing through. So we have all the elements, Carole. One of the things I still want to engage with is the ways in which we use our music to celebrate our achievements. And that's coming from, if Quarry was a boy to Iman last night and couldn't follow me, now when we're going to the Olympics, champion, heart of a champion, and just the ways that how do our artists celebrate our athletes. And then when you look at some of the athletes, when they train, they have Jamaican music on their playlists.
Even the former president of the United States.
Yeah. So when you talk to somebody, the most successful athletes in the world, when they work out, it's Jamaican music. So what is it about our music that has this kind of connection to our sport? Listen, there's so many things.
Speak to the investment that we would require for a body of work that would include several formats of pictures and films for sport. how do we engage investors in a way that it is meaningful and that it would produce things that are, will end up in the history of the world?
So I feel part of the problem we have with film in Jamaica is that investors think they are contributing to film. And they think film is philanthropy. Film is straight business. Creed 1, 2, 3. If you look at what's been invested and what Creed has managed to earn at the box office, when we say to investors, put money in a film, it's because we know the kind of returns that you can get from particularly sports films. There is no coincidence why the rights for events such as the World Cup and the Olympics are that high, because when you look at viewership numbers, there are very few things in the world, if at all, that can match the viewership of World Cup and of the Olympics.
Yeah,
and that is coming from people's need to watch, people's engagement, people's interest. So already we have established that you have an audience. You have an audience. How do you now, Jamaica being the Olympic giant that we are, continue to benefit from that audience? We can't host the Olympic Games.
But we can tell stories about our athletes.
Nice turn that was from Warner Brown.
Bring home the happiness. Bring home the Delect goodness. Delect full of deliciousness. Make every meal delicious with Delect. From pasta happiness to happiness and dumpling. When last you add some happiness to your rice and peas? Delicious food makes you happy, and that's what Delect promises you. Bring home the happiness. Bring home the Delect goodness. Your recipe for happiness.
Burrito's flagship location in New Kingston is at 15 St. Lucia Way. Mark Gilzine and his team are dedicated to creating your ideal game plan to revolutionize your relationship with money. We are proud of our many wins, which include bolstering our capital base to be among the strongest in the industry and facilitating the purchase of 3 U.S. companies by a Jamaican firm. We're 45 years and going strong, changing the game and moving the financial revolution forward.
Is it possible for communities across Jamaica to move forward?
At Project Star, we believe it is.
Project Star is working with communities
so we can better ourselves and better our community.
All of us are from here, we belong here, this is our place, and if we don't take care of it, no one else will.
Each of us,
all of us, can work together to make a real difference.
It's actually a wonderful thing, giving persons chances, opportunities.
This is real. All we have to do is just work together.
Everybody. Everybody.
All are we. Let's build together.
One block at a time.
Helping each other to grow.
Everybody forward.
Forward.
Forward. Forward.
Everybody forward.
To find out more and to join the movement, visit projectstarja.com. Everybody forward.
Been coming along well.
Thanks, man. You know, it's a long time I've been working at it.
I can see that. I saw your mail by the gate, so I picked it up for you. But tell me something. Why are you still receiving dividend checks by mail?
What do you mean about that?
You need to give JCSD a mandate.
You know, me hear about the mandate them. I'm going over there right now.
A mandate means giving instructions to the Jamaica Central Securities Depository Limited, JCSD, relating to the handling of your dividend or interest payment. There are 3 types of mandates. The first is a bank mandate. The second is a hold mandate. Lastly, we have what we call a third-party mandate, with which the investor may wish to send their dividend or interest to someone other than the parties on their account or institution of their choice.
Whole conversation with Dahlia Harris, you know, she does everything sport. Dahlia was one of the first female reporters to actually cover cricket from the Kingston Cricket Club at Savannah Park and would have toured the Caribbean. Then she went to the Reggae Boys. They played volleyball, managed. Trust me, she has done it all, and she produces, and she does a few odd things now, but she's busy writing other exciting plays and so on. But I had to get her to talk about sport. Dahlia, the investment in a film generally, but sport films, you know, it's not philanthropy at all.
No.
It is an investment in a product that can return.
And I'll tell you one of the things about a sport film. The two things that we are most recognized for globally is reggae and sport. And so the athletes have already done 60% of the work.
Of the work.
So if you do, for example, a film about Bob Marley, which is happening now, and I went to the Bob Marley musical in London, lines and lines and lines. That show was extended so many times. So our athletes have already done the work by capturing the world's attention. What people don't know about our athletes is what happens before they get to the track, what happens after the track. What they really see are those minutes on the track. And people are fascinated by what is it about Jamaicans that makes them do so well.
What makes Jamaicans run so fast?
What makes us run so fast? And so if you put together something that is engaging, you'll have athletes. Listen, was it LeBron? One of them did a film, a basketball film with Queen Latifah about an athlete that he got from Spain, and he came to America and just struck. One of the most interesting films I've ever seen.
The one, was it that one with Common where she was a physio?
No, so that's another film, which was a whole different side of basketball, which was, you know, the injured player and how that, and
contracts,
correct. But in this film, and I think it was LeBron, because when I looked at it, a lot of the now athletes were in it. And I said, wow, this lead actor, he's so good, how did they get him? He actually plays in the NBA. And so just watching the process of coming to America, trying to be picked up by a team, it has such a heightened sense of awareness of what sport is about. And that's what people want to see. People want to know. I'm watching this thing, I'm engaged by this thing. What is happening behind the scenes? What's going on? I learned when I went to the Olympics in 2012 that after the World War, what they had on the track were the bricks. Like after the bombings, the bricks that were left, they crushed them, and that's what they ran on. Herb McKinley ran on the broken bricks.
You can imagine?
Yeah.
So in 1948, that was when Jamaica would have won its first gold medal through Arthur Wint.
Yeah.
And of course, Herb was scheduled to tear the world apart in the 400 and end up coming second.
What a story.
Oh, what a
story. Cynthia Thompson, you know, bless her soul.
Yeah.
When Mommy T tells you that when they went to compete, she went by ship. So she had to get up early, and part of her training to keep herself fit was to run around the ship. Run on the ship, around the ship. Now our athletes fly, they get into a training
Some of them don't go commercial.
Yeah. They go into a training center, they prepare whatever. Ship, because you know, ship not take 2 days. And she had to run, and so there's so many things about why we are so successful, and what distinguishes the Jamaican athlete from any other athlete in the world. So much so that we have second generation Jamaicans that have distinguished themselves in the world, and a little lighter come from the values
of that we have exhibited,
and from their parents that have passed that on to them in terms of resilience. If you know Sanya Ross' parents, you know, Jamaican to the core.
Oh yeah.
And she's one of the most successful athletes.
Yeah.
You know, so I believe that investors have to see film just for the enormous opportunity that it can provide and create for them. We're not saying to an investor, you know, you need to do this film because we want to honor an athlete. It's not for you as an investor. It's about making money.
Making money.
Make your money. Make your money. Make your money. The storyteller wants to honor someone.
Right.
Make your money.
Right.
Make your money.
Brand placement has become a thing. So, you know, you can get your products on set in a tasteful way.
Absolutely.
I mean, everything I watch on Netflix now has something Jamaican in there, from the beer, everything. Everything is making it on screen. So why is it that, we just need to do what is required? So you're a writer, you're a playwright, you've written screens and films and so on. Ideally, if you were to get an opportunity to do one film now, which format would you use and why?
I would do the fact fiction because I believe even, and I'm saying fiction because stories are told from different perspectives,
right.
But I feel biopics is what I would want to do. I feel Merlene Ottey has one of the most powerful stories of any female athlete, and I think Merlene Ottey deserves a biopic. You're seeing as a documentary, he should have a biopic as well. Shelley and Fraser Price. So for me, those are the things that I would look at doing. I don't want to do a comedy with the Sunshine Girls. Because, listen, their name sells it. They're the Sunshine Girls.
Yeah. And Jamaica is the sunshine state of the world. All right, so Dahlia, your favorite sports team?
France.
Your favorite football club?
Oh, jeez, Manchester United. But me I watch Manchester United from when JBC I carry match in a black and white on Sunday.
Alright, so Dahlia just told you how old she is.
Yes. So I'm a loyal sport fan from me, I cheer for you. And I mean France, I was in love with France from Michel Platini.
Okay.
So.
And you'd have met a number of sports stars, but if there's one more you could meet on your journey, who would you want to meet?
Ooh. Michael Jordan.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Jordan. Because...
I can arrange that.
Please. And I'll tell you why I'll say Jordan. Michael Jordan played with some of the best NBA players. Scottie Pippen is exceptional.
Robert Horry,
Dennis Rodman, and to play
Horace Grant,
to play with that level,
John Stockton,
and to play with that level, and still be. I just want to know what kind of grit and determination you wake up with a morning time.
Cartwright, you wonder why I know, yeah. The Bulls team of the
Bulls is not my team.
Right.
Bulls is not my team, but I just want to know what kind of grit and determination do you wake up with every day to know that you're not just competing against your opponents, but I'm leading a team that's so great that I have to be greater. But I want to know,
And that's a good way to end this program. We had a wonderful conversation about sports and film, and Dahlia Harris is none other than the best person to really talk about this. Investors, join us on board. You know where to find Dahlia. You know you can call us at the Stock Exchange, because ideally we're about to turn the century. It's 75 years since you have gone to the Olympics. For the next 25 years, allow us to create something that will give you the best return on your investment. My name is Carole Beckford, and until next time, join us on the Sports Exchange. Walk good.